whenever we think of Bhagavan, that is, whenever we think of Krishna, the thought that comes to our mind is usually someone who's very bubbly, happy, mischievous. Bhagavan was always, you can say, life was very smooth. And whenever we think of Bhagavan Krishna, now each one of us, we have our own experiences. But usually when we think of Bhagavan, it is always Krishna, especially. It's always happiness, right? Now any god is happiness, but usually the character itself, we feel, or many times we feel that Bhagavan's life being in Krishna Avataram was always just maybe taking care of cows, consuming milk and milk products, selling them, playing with gopas, gopikas. But there is another side of Bhagavan also, which is the second part of Bhagavan's avataram. That is nothing but the life which Bhagavan spent. One is the Gokula Leela is there, Vrindavana Leela is there, wherein Bhagavan had spent his childhood days, he had spent his time with the gopikas and so on. But that's where we love one part of Krishna, right? But in Dwarakapuri, when we look at Bhagavan, that is, in Dwaraka, Bhagavan spent the last few years of his avataram, right? That is, everything was done. Mahabharata Yuddham has come to an end, the Krishna Leela stories have been done. At that time, what happens is, while Bhagavan was there in Mathurapuri, or in fact, the life of Krishna and Vrindavanam is all his childhood days, what he has, that is his family history, that was basically there, right? But the Bhagavan of Dwaraka is someone who had a lot of responsibilities. So, Bhagavan, whom we all think of, is usually playing the Venu. He's the one who steals butter. He's the one who dances with the Gopikas. He's the one who loves Radha Rani, who has lifted the Govardhana Parvatam. And he fills entire Vrindavanam with a lot of laughter, happiness, love, and so on, right? And this is mostly the picture of Krishna that we all know, right? And that's a good reason, nothing bad in it. But the Bhagavan who lives in Dwarakapuri is someone who is different. There, even today also, if you go and visit Dwarakapuri or the Dwarakadish temple, right? In that place, we can actually experience, or we must remember the struggle of Bhagavan there. He leaves Vrindavanam. He leaves the people who loved him and the people whom he loved. That is the Gopikas, Gopas, Nanda Gopa, Yashoda, and so on. He leaves his comfort zone, right? Just as we also, if you have to change from one place to another, things are very happy all around, our own people are there. To leave that and go is something which is very difficult, right? But Bhagavan had to do that. There, the city that was there gets destroyed totally. Bhagavan had to build that from scratch. He puts in efforts, he has to build that. An entire civilization. Today also, if you see, Dwarakapuri was totally merged into water, it has come out and so on. So an entire civilization, entire city, people had migrated in thousands, right? So an entire city was built from scratch. Lot of strategies had to be prepared because Dwarakapuri was attacked so many times. Lot of negotiations Bhagavan had to make with the nearby kings and so on. Lot of responsibilities were there because Bhagavan there ruled as a king. He had many princesses and queens to take care of. So this is not Bhagavan who was there in Vrindavanam or Mathurapuri in Gokulam. He was just doing his Leela. But in Dwarakapuri, the role of Krishna changes. We become familiar with Krishna who follows Dharma there. So the point is just why I am telling you this comparison is whenever we are learning any texts of Bhagavan, let it be Srimad Bhagavatam, let it be Yadavabhyudayam, Raghava Yadaviyam, whatever it is, we all usually have this picture of Krishna as the one who always has a flute in his hand but does not rule over. That is, he does not have leadership in him or he does not have responsibilities over him. He never has a throne. But we all think of Bhagavan to be a god of comfort, right? Someone whom we all go to very easily. But many times we all don't know this picture that Bhagavan also has got another side, that is, he is a lord of responsibility who is there, and Dwarakapuri reminds us of that. So when Vrindavanam teaches us how to love, today also if you go to Vrindavanam, Mathurapuri and so on, we can see the bhakti of the people there, right? Whereas Dwaraka Puri is that place which teaches us to do next, that is to follow our responsibilities that are there. Loving, showing affection, all that is one part. What next? That is something which Dwarakapuri teaches, how to build, how to protect, how to lead and so on. So, in fact, now I am telling you all this is, this Leela of Bhagavan, this two side of the story that I am telling you, that has got a very close connect with our lives also, wherein many of us, or most of us, all of us rather, we all also have to leave our Vrindavanam one fine day. Vrindavanam is nothing but our own comfort zone that is there. And eventually, in the course of time, the carefree years, the initial years when we are all small children or so, maybe not much responsibilities, it is all as if the life of Vrindavanam. Now, there also in the case of Bhagavan, he had to endure a lot, he had to suffer a lot, but he was there around with his own people. So, in our lives also, initially, the few years they become responsibilities, friends, they also become family, dreams that we have, they all turn into duties. Maybe we dreamt about something, but eventually we have to put in efforts for that. So, that's when, after a point of time, maybe we are dependent on few people. After a few years, few people become dependent on us. So the Lord of Dwarka, that is Dwarkadish Bhagavan, it is said that he asks us tough questions. You go to Vrindavanam, you see Bhagavan is always there with Radharani. You have the Banke Bihari temple, you have Radharaman temple, you have Prem Mandir and so on, all things of love and affection. But in Dwarakapuri, Bhagavan shows us who is depending on you, what are you actually building, whom are you protecting, what exactly are you protecting, when are you raising your voice, when are you going to fight, when are you going to negotiate. That is to fight with what? To get rid of all adharma and so on. And after doing all this, ultimately, when are you going to walk away? When are you going to give up on your ego or so? Because your purpose that you have got today as a human being is something which is much, much higher than your ego and ahankaram. So, in Vrindavanam, people come and pray to Bhagavan for love and affection, it seems. But in Dwarakapuri, people come and pray to Bhagavan for proper guidance, to be on the right path, and tell him that, let me always do good karma, because Bhagavan is the one who guides us on that, right? We do good karma, we get good results, bad karma, bad results. So Bhagavan is the world's best consultant, it is said. He who gives guidance, but we have to make a commitment. Now, whenever we go and ask for some consultancy, we pay them something, right? Only then that person guides. What we have to pay to Bhagavan is good karma. You do good karma, karmanye vadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. When Bhagavan says this in the Gita, he says that you keep doing your fruits, I will definitely take care of that. So this version of Krishna that is there is something which is not familiar, or maybe few of us, when we listen to this also, we might not feel very comfortable, though it is the truth, because for us, we all imagine Bhagavan Krishna to be always full of love, full of bhakti, that he is definitely there. But there is also another part of Krishna Leela stories, because Bhagavan does not alone ask for love, affection and bhakti, he also asks for courage, discipline, responsibility, judgment and so many other things also. So Bhagavan's life, it actually ends in Dwarakapuri, not Vrindavanam. We know how the end of Bhagavan took place. His own people, the Yadavas, they destroy themselves, they become drunk also, they end up killing themselves. The city that he built ultimately sinks into the sea. Krishnavataram himself also, Krishnavataram, how it comes to an end is Bhagavan dies under a tree. That is, he gives up his life when Jara, a hunter, mistakes Bhagavan's toe to be actually an animal, a deer also. So, something which is maybe not a very happy ending also, but Dwarakapuri, actually, the stories that are there in Dwaraka are quite tough, right? Because little tough experiences, like, ultimately Krishnavataram also comes to an end there, but we all have to accept that. So life also, when it throws difficult situations, we have to accept certain things and maybe try to come out of that too. So when these things happen, one very, very important thing to conclude this part is, Bhagavan never gave up in becoming the playful fellow which he was there in Vrindavanam. It's just that life simply threw more challenges at him. That's when the Venu in his hand, the flute in his hand never disappeared, but he had to hold a kingdom also in his other hand. And maybe that's a journey for all of us also. Maybe not from one city to another, like from Vrindavanam to Dwarka or so, but maybe from being carefree, loud, dependable and so on, we all also have to take up new challenges, become responsible. And for all this to happen, what is most important is devotion, honest devotion on Bhagavan, not just in Vrindavanam, but also the courage, like Bhagavan, to follow him to Dwarakapuri. So the point is, in every kshetram that is there, Bhagavan has a different picture to show. So this is all about Krishna Leela story. It's a unique part of how we look at Bhagavan.